How many NHL players will reach 100 points this season? Well, the answer is kind of obvious. It looks like we're gonna have 2 guys who most likely definitely will, and there's maybe another 3 guys who could. That's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Twitter plus and that. Okay, let's actually talk about this a little bit, because I wanted to make this video to just praise the direction that the league is going in today. And really, if I wanted to sum up everything into 2 sentences, it would be, we're getting more goals, and that's awesome. I like it. That's the end of the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, no, I actually kind of wanted to expand a little bit on this, but if you're here just for a main point or whatever, that is the main point. Scoring has gone up, we're getting more players who are getting more goals, more points, and everything, and I love that. But I wanted to break this down a little bit. So if we check out the NHL statistical leaders right now for points, for goals, for everything, Connor McDavid sits first. I'm making this video primarily because Connor McDavid passing Kucherov last night kind of inspired me to start thinking about goal scoring and points and where the league is going in terms of our production. So McDavid, he's first in the league with 96 points. Kucherov is down there with 95 points. Malkin is third with 92, tied with MacKinnon, who's also at 92. Giroux rounds out the top 5 with 91. Kopitar got himself 86, Stamkos is at 86, Kessel's at 85, Crosby and Wheeler are at 83. If you want to go even further, Gaudreau and Hall are each at 82 points. That rounds up the top 12. Just take a look at that for a little bit. In order for a player to legitimately be considered a point-per-game player, they'd need to reach 82 points. Of course, there are extenuating circumstances, players who don't play all the games, players who play more than 82 games because they get traded. There are things that happen like that, but for the most part, 82 points is a point-per-game player. We have 12 guys who are already at a point a game. And the majority of these teams have 6 more games left in the season. The teams who have played the most games in the league, they're up there with 76 games played. The teams who have played the least, Florida and Boston at the moment, they're at 73. Other teams are at 74, 75, but for the most part, it's 75, 76 that is dominating the league, and a lot of these players on these teams, there's 12 that are already at a point per game, reaching 82 points. To me, this right here is really important, and I'm a really big fan of what's going on. Let's go back through the past few years, just taking a look at where things were at, and how many points people were able to get back in those previous seasons. If we go last year, how many players got 100 points? 1. Connor McDavid. How many players got 82 points? 7. Scheifele, Marchand, Kucherov, Backstrom, Kane, Crosby, and McDavid. How many players got 90 points? 1. Connor McDavid. Let's go back to 2015-16. How many players got 100 points? 1. Patrick Kane. How many players got 82 points? There were 5. Erik Karlsson, Joe Thornton, Crosby, Benn, and Kane. None of these players, with the exception of Art Ross winning 100-point scorer Patrick Kane, got 90 points either. Let's go back to 14-15. How many players got 90 points? 0. The Art Ross winner Jamie Benn was at 87. How many players got 82 points? 3. Granted, there were 2 players who were at 81, Ovechkin and Voracek, but other than that, scoring this year, I remember this year actually, it was considered to be going down. And everybody was kind of freaking out because, the Art Ross winner only got 87 points. What happened to our 100-point guys just from a few years ago? Oh my goodness, we're going to go into an era of really good goaltending and just no goals at all. Maurice Richard winners are going to start winning the trophy with 30, 35, 25 goals, and the goals for in the games is not going to be high. We're going to see a lot of tight games. This was the year where everybody sort of started thinking about that. And that was in 2014-15. If we go back to 13-14, how many players at 100? 1. Crosby. How many players at 82? 5. So, the fact that today, we already have 12 players who are at 82 points, with a maximum amount of games played for any of these guys being capped at 76 games played. We have so many guys who are at or above a point a game. It's awesome. And if we take a look at the question that this video proposes, who will reach 100 points, we could potentially have 2 or 3 guys who reach 100 points this season. Right now, Connor McDavid, with 75 Edmonton Oilers games played, has 96 points. He has 7 games to get 4 points to reach 100. Is it doable? Yeah, it's Connor freaking McDavid. It's going to happen, guys. Let's just be honest here. Going over to number 2 in points right now, Nikita Kucherov. In 75 Tampa Bay Lightning games played, Kucherov has 95 points. So, he needs 5 points in 7 games played to get 100. Is it doable? Yeah, I think that's going to happen as well. Kucherov, of course, he was at like a 120-point pace earlier in the season, but obviously that's not really sustainable, but still, 95 right now in 73 games played. That is great. Nathan MacKinnon. MacKinnon missed a lot of games for the Avalanche this season. Avalanche have currently played 75 games, MacKinnon is at 67, so he missed 8. He's at 92 points right now. Nathan MacKinnon has 7 games left to get himself 8 points, and considering that he's at a point-per-game pace of 1.37, it's looking that it will most likely be doable for him too, but of course, we have no idea. He is kind of far back. 8 points is quite a lot, but 7 games. That's a sample size there. MacKinnon could easily get himself a 3, 4-point night, one night, and set himself up for some smooth sailing to end off the regular season. Going over to the last 2 guys who are at 90 points right now, Evgeni Malkin and Claude Giroux. Both of these guys, they just played earlier today. They each got themselves a point, and with 76 games played for each, the Flyers and the Penguins, Malkin needs to get himself 8 points, as he is at 92 right now, in those 6 games. Claude Giroux needs to get himself 9 points in those 6 games, as he is at 91 at the moment. As Malkin has been on a complete tear for the past like 20-something games, I believe he has the truest opportunities to be able to achieve 100 this year, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he was able to. And Claude Giroux, the fact that he's got such a good supporting staff around him, Jakub Voracek has really stepped up his game this year, even though he's already been a monster for the past few years. Sean Couturier has stepped up his game tenfold this year as well. He's been fantastic for the Flyers. I could totally see Claude Giroux being able to hit it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't at the same time, because he is 9 points away in 6 games left. So if I had to answer the question, how many players are going to reach 100 points? I'm going to say 3 definitely, but we could totally have up to 5. And I think 5 might be the maximum, because I don't think Anze Kopitar down there at 86 is going to be able to catch up, but still, 5 players with the potential to reach 100 points is fantastic. We already went through the past few years of NHL hockey. If we go back the past few years, even if we go over to the lockout season, the only player with a 100-point pace over a span of 82 selected games would have been Marty St. Louis, who got the Art Ross that year with 60 points in 48 games. His pace dictates 102 points over the span of 82. Stamkos, who was second in points that year, only has a 97-point pace. So if we want to see when was the last season we had 2 players at or above 100 points, we have to go back to 2009-2010, where we had Henrik Sedin, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, and Nicklas Backstrom, each at 100 points. And this was the last season where we really had a big, strong emergence of players getting points. How many players reached 90 points in 2010? We had 7. Brad Richards got 91, St. Louis and Stamkos 94 and 95, and then the other 4 who each got 100, Henrik Sedin with the Art Ross 112 points. How many players were a point per game in this season with 82 points? We had 16. And that doesn't include Paul Stastny, who was at 79 points, or Kopitar, who was at 81 points. This was the last season which featured more than 2 guys at 100 points. And this was 8 years ago. The fact that we're able to say that we might be able to get 2 100-point guys now is just a testament to how scoring has been going up the past few years. It was at a low when Jamie Benn won the Art Ross, as nobody got 90 points that year. This season, we got ourselves 5 guys who are already at 90, a few guys who could probably reach 90 a little bit later. We got ourselves 12 guys who are already at 82 points, And we got a few more that are at 81, 80, 78. These guys could easily get up to 82 as well. Guys like Ovechkin, Rantanen, and Voracek are just on the cusp of being defined as a point per game. Tavares, Marchand, Barzal, these guys are at 78, 78, and 76 points. Barkov is at 74, Kuznetsov's at 73. The point is, we're getting so many more players who are notching points, and that is awesome. Scoring is at an all-time high this year, in comparison with the past few years that we've experienced here in the NHL. To cement my point even further, let's take a look at one last thing. Goals for per game. Right now, if I go to NHL.com, there are 14 teams who are at or above 3 goals for per game. And that is a high number. If you play any of the NHL video games, you'd know that getting 3 goals a game is pretty darn good. If we go over to last season, 2016-2017, how many teams were at 3 goals a game back then? We only had 7. This season, we've doubled that with 14. If we go over to 2014-15, the season that Jamie Benn won the Art Ross, we had 3 teams who were at 3 or more goals for per game. And this served for some tighter games, but at the same time, nobody likes to look at the record books and say, oh, scoring went down that year, what happened? We're entering an era of new ways to score, new players who are emerging onto the scene, finding ways to score. We got that rookie renaissance, which rapidly promoted the production of younger, quicker, more skilled players who are entering the league to get points. Barzal, Besser, these guys stepping in, getting goals and everything for all their teams, that increased scoring, and that was awesome. We're going to see more of that as we go forward. And as we go forward, all these guys who are getting a lot of points right now, Kucherov, McDavid, these guys are still pretty gosh darn young right now. If we go over, MacKinnon is young too. Giroux, Malkin, they're still going to be strong going forward. It's a good time to be a hockey fan, guys. It's a really good time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, and gaming, and bye.